Alright, so finally got the headers and stuff ordered. JBA makes them. They're super nice quality. 1.75" primaries. Stainless steel ceramic coated headers. I mean, all the weld stuff looked pretty good on them. They're the exact match to the port size I needed, and they're supposed to fit. Hopefully they do. You know how that stuff goes, you know. So I got 2 rolls of some header wrap. I think it's titanium. There's like between that and like some carbon or some fiberglass composite, which doesn't seem like a great idea to me. And then I got O2 sensor bung, because I'll probably put a wideband or something on this, so just so I can see what kind of air fuel mixture. Of course, a lovely bill that I kind of don't want to look at. And then also got from Speedway Motors some 3-inch steel aluminized tubing. I mean, I'd like to do stainless steel, you know, all the way through, but that's a little too expensive. You know, I gotta cut costs somewhere. So headers, big money. Rest of it, no money. And this should be all my Mandrel Bends. So let me open this up here. Ooh, yeah, definitely. It's pretty heavy. Yep. And with this, I should be able to create everything that I need. I think this kit was like right at $200, which is, I mean, that's more than reasonable, you know, shipped to my door. The stainless steel was over double that amount, so, you know, you can see why I sacrificed a little bit. But once this is all, I'm probably going to tack it all, get everything, you know, how it should be routed and hangers and stuff. And I'll probably have a flange. There'll be a flange at the header, and then I'll probably put a flange at the mufflers, so I can have a couple segments and I can unbolt it in pieces and still have a nice gasket and a nice seal. I don't want to put them stupid U-shaped clamps. I don't like them things. But then I'll take it out and I'll weld it up pretty good and probably put some high temperature paint and everything on them. So we got 4 U's, 4 45s, and 4 90s, so that should be more than enough of what we're going to need. O2 sensor bung is probably going to go right after the headers, maybe a little farther down just in case it gets burnt. I'm not sure what kind of temperatures it's going to be, but hopefully we'll get started on this soon. I got to get the car up on all 4 jack stands, and there's a couple other things underneath of it. I need the reverse light switch on the transmission, a little bit of wiring, tidy up the brake lines. Still gotta hook up my emergency brake cables. Got to weld a bracket on the subframe rail and figure that out, which should be fun. I was gonna go ahead and wrap these things, but I thought I ordered the metal cable ties. Pretty sure I did, I just don't remember, because I didn't get them in with any of my packages, but I have to check on that. Pretty sure I ordered them. If not, I'll run to the store, grab probably 2 sets, I guess, from like Advance or something, and then we can get to wrapping. Okay, so I did not order the wire ties. I'm crazy. So instead of, you know, getting robbed out of the store for like, I think it's like 8 of them for $20 or some crap like that. I don't know. It's expensive. I got some mechanical wire or whatever. I'm going to use this, tie them off. It'll look just as good, but save a little money and save me a trip to the store or waiting on parts. I have never did anything like this in my life, so probably going to look like some hot, crispy garbage. I might have to do a couple attempts to get it to where it needs to be. Only issue I'm really seeing is I can't, at least on this one, I can't wrap the individual pipes because, I mean, they're almost touching in some of these areas. Wrap this pipe and then stop, and then wrap both pipes and then stop down here somewhere, and then split it off into individual ones, which I'm not sure I'm going to go that low with these, because I'm mainly trying to keep the heat from the engine bay side of it out. I mean, these are going to be down far enough to where it's not going to be affecting anything. And I still have that cool look when you look underneath the car. You got the nice expensive headers, and you know, paid good money for these bad boys, so I need to see some shiny chrome somewheres. All right, here's the first one done. I actually had room to get between these two tubes. I got it as tight as I could. Put 2 pieces of wire and stuff up here, twisted them tight with a pair of pliers, like these ones right here, and then use a pair of side cutters, clean up the ends, cut off the excess wire. That way you aren't, you know, gouging your finger open, hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the other 3 done, and then this is about as far down that I'm gonna go with them, just because there's no reason to, you know, do the rest. Still look pretty good. Still hoping these will fit. I'm gonna get these wrapped and then try to put this one up in the car once I get the car jacked up on the jack stands, because I need to find out as soon as I can whether or not this one's going to fit or not. Just so you kind of get an understanding on how I'm wrapping these, because I don't want to undo a whole roll of this since it's 50 feet long. I pulled a long strand, get some excess, and I'm wrapping it very loosely around the pipe, how it should be run. That way I can get a good idea on how much I need, and that way I'm not cutting it short or cutting it long and wasting any excess, because I think I got just enough to do all 4 tubes with one roll of 50 foot. But yeah, just wrapping it, you know, very loosely, and then I'll get a couple wire ties up here, and I'll start spinning it and snugging it up and get an overlap correct and work my way down. And then when I get to wherever I want to end it, I'll figure out how much I need to pull off the roll, and then cut it and tidy it up. So not too hard. All right, both of them's wrapped. Got them tied off. They're pretty tight, so gonna jack the car up here in a little bit and see if I can fish them up in there without scratching up or having to remove anything. It should go in pretty easy. All right, so I finally got the headers installed. This side I had to take the motor mount bolt out there, and I had to jack this side of the motor up so that those headers could even remotely go up in there, because it was so tight between the edge of the block and the steering shaft, which I can show you. Let's see. Well, maybe not. Between up in here on the edge of the steering box and then the edge of the block that's up in here, the 2 rear cylinders would not go up in there, so just had to jack that corner of the motor up. Finally got it in. It was a little bit of hassle doing something like this by myself. Got the first bolt there started, and then had a floor jack on the back end of the collector, and I was jacking that up with my foot till it got the rest of the holes lined up, and I could start a rear one to get everything on there. The other side went on, you know, piece of cake. There's nothing in the way over here, so this took like 5 minutes to do this. They're all tight. Collectors come out pretty close to the floor. I'm gonna have to do a little finagling because it's right there close to the floor pan, and I'm gonna have to figure out where to run my speedometer cable to, because this would melt like instantly. So I'm gonna have to do a couple tight bends. Might have to cut some, like, you know, a bunch of 9-degree cuts in a piece of pipe and make a little S shape that comes down, and probably get them closer to the drive shaft, and I'll run them up the tunnel and all the way to the back. I got some of the stuff already laid out. All right, I got both the headers and stuff on, and I'm making these little S pipes, or S bends, whatever they are, because the headers are right there at the transmission cross member, and they got to kind of kick down and inwards a little bit to clear everything. So I could just cut everything with just a regular chop saw here. Cut everything at 9-degree cuts. That way, you know, they stack and bend pretty easy without distorting the, you know, the 3-inch pipe. You still get the same diameter all the way through. Doesn't look the prettiest, I guess, when welding it up. I got one welded up, got my booger welds and stuff on it, but you know, you won't see something like this. So as long as it doesn't rust through and there's no pinholes or anything in it. Alright, so I got the exhaust and stuff bolted on the car. Fits pretty good. I still have to run the back pieces with the mufflers. I have a flange right after the axles, and then there'll be a 90 and a short little race muffler that really doesn't have crap in it. And then I'll exit through the valance. And I got my reverse light switch and stuff mounted on. I got a couple other things I did. So I was having an issue with my speedometer cable with the transmission. Had a little issue with it being right at the exhaust. And I can't really see one's down here, but basically it was down on the headers, and I either needed a 90-degree adapter to go on the transmission to get the cable routed to where it wasn't in the way, but I ended up just taking the cable out and blocking the hole off. And I'm going with an all-new gauge instrument cluster with a GPS speedometer, so I shouldn't need any of that. And I've been working on routing some stuff. I got oil line stuff for the gauge. It's kind of routed. I mean, all my wiring stuff's going to go through this little plastic loom piece, and I'll cover it so it looks nice and neat. But I put a piece of rubber hose over it so it doesn't rub or, you know, look too goofy. It goes down into the motor, and I got a couple other things I got to route. I got to put a different piece here for the temperature gauge, since I got mechanical gauges and stuff. But I had worked on the wiring stuff for all my gauges. I got new instrument cluster panels, which here I'll show you. Here's the factory one where I took the wood grain off and put the red carbon fiber on. I didn't really like, I don't have a tack in this gauge, which I'd have to mount one on the steering column or somewhere. And you can't see the gauges very clearly. I mean, I took these all apart and I cleaned the lenses and everything up the best I could, but it still doesn't have that popping out look. Like, I mean, you really got to look into these to see what any of them are reading. I could have took these apart and probably put gauges in these, but Mustang Sapphire makes their own little panels here. It's ABS plastic. I mean, it's pretty decent quality, and the price wasn't too terrible. But I just got all auto meter gauges, GPS speedometer stuff, so it all fits pretty good. I'm liking the look. It's pretty clean, and I got one for the passenger side, so there's no clock, so it's just a smooth silver panel over on the passenger side. So I think it'll look a little better, and I'll get a little less red in the interior, but I think it'll be all right. The silver's a little bit of a cleaner look, in my opinion. But I got all these things wired up the other night. Took me a good while to get it neat and clean how I wanted it, all nice ends, and shrink wrapped everything. And then I got everything coming out here to this. I need to get I need to get a junker or something, get a couple pigtail connections or whatever, so I can have one big master plug in, so this plugs into the existing harness inside the car. That way it's nice and simple if I ever have to remove it. I also picked up this a center console. I found locally a guy really close to me had it, and it was really cheap. I mean, I think I paid 75 bucks for it. I mean, that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. And I've disassembled everything on it. I'm going to paint it black, make a couple modifications. I'm probably going to make my own flip hatch here. I know you can buy them, but I'm gonna make my own cover with something, and I'm probably gonna put a cup holder in it just so I have a cup holder. I went and got a couple from Summit, just generic style little cup holders. I'm probably gonna put this down in there. Also got this plate and stuff for my wideband gauge, because there's an ashtray at the front of the instrument cluster, and this piece is going to bolt in where the ashtray flip up was in there, and then I'm going to cut a piece, and this is going to be molded to that piece itself. So I have a gauge up there. I think I can buy those pieces too, but you can only buy them with 2 gauge holes instead of 1. This will be a little more unique, I guess. I also removed the centerpiece here. It was, I mean, this thing's all been spray bombed by somebody before, but I took it out and I'm going to paint it silver to match the other 2 dash pieces, so that way I got a little bit of a recurring theme. I also took the ashtray out of the back. Definitely wasn't going to need that, so I have a plastic welder and stuff I had at work, so I used that and I covered up the hole. I just got to smooth it out, put a little bit of putty on it, and I'm going to try to get that original texture and stuff to get back in it, so it looks somewhat stock, but you know, without the flipping ashtray and stuff. That's going to be it for everything on this episode. I still have a lot more stuff to do, but I'm running out of time and been pretty busy with other things, so it's going to be a slow process.